All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Psychedelic Light Show review. This is episode 4. I'm your host, Steve Pavlovsky of Liquid Light Lab. I got my co-host here, Chris Samardiszch of the Brotherhood of Light. And thanks everybody who's been tuning in the last couple of weeks for these shows. We're having a lot of fun doing them. Just really quick, a little bit about what we do and, who we are. As I mentioned, I'm Steve from Liquid Light Lab. I've been doing light shows and visuals for maybe like 14 years or something like that. In addition to performing and making artwork with them, I also am very interested in the history of it and maintaining, keeping the information going and things like that, as well as providing gear to other artists and stuff like that. So, that's kind of where I'm coming from. And Chris, who is from the Brotherhood of Light, he's a veteran in the business. He's been doing this for, how long have you been doing this for, Chris?
Well, as an amateur and a professional, over 50 years.
50 years, yeah.
But I've been about 32 years professionally.
So, like, you've worked with some pretty cool bands. So who have you worked with, and like, what's your professional career been? Who you've been on the road with and all that?
Well, the first big gig that Pete and I got together was with the Jefferson Airplane reunion tour at the Fillmore Auditorium when they reunited in 1989.
Uh-huh.
And then we started working with Blues Traveler, and they hooked us up with the Allman Brothers. And we started touring with the Allman Brothers in 1990. And mid 90s, we toured with the Starship. We did a bunch of Starship shows around the California Bay Area. And we did Carnegie Hall with them, which was pretty awesome.
Nice.
And then got hired by Robert Plant for a couple legs on his Strange Sensation tour, but we were still doing the Allman Brothers. Then we did the Doors of the 21st Century, which was basically the Doors with Ian Astbury from the Cult singing.
Yeah.
And then we did the other ones at Alpine Valley, and then it turned into the Dead. Mm-hmm. And at that, it was really crazy, but we've always been with the Allman Brothers every year, and then Greg Allman, and now Allman Betts Band. So those are the touring acts I've been with, not the nightclub gigs I did in San Francisco.
Right, because before you got down with the Allman Brothers, you were active in the clubs in San Francisco, and I think you mentioned like Mudhoney and some the Meat Puppets maybe or the Melvins, Melvins, some pretty cool punk bands. Yeah, man.
Big Brother Holding Company we did. Janice wasn't with him, but yeah.
So Chris has been around, and so very lucky to have him. And our first couple of episodes, we're kind of just getting into the swing of things. We covered album covers. We covered the different venues of San Francisco in the 60s and the light shows that worked there. Last week we did a great episode on liquids, which is one of
that was good.
One of everybody's favorite topics. Mm-hmm. And then so today we're going to really get into like the more gear oriented stuff. We're going to start talking about some of the equipment, specifically like overhead projectors or slide projectors, because we've seen pictures of all this stuff and how it's done, but really haven't gotten into the nitty gritty of it. So we're going to get into a lot of mechanical things. We're also going to get into ways of modifying them and some of the differences in the different projectors and Absolutely. Projection technology. So Chris has got some pretty cool stuff for us, and I don't know. You want to hit us?
Yeah. Well, we're this is our analog series, so we're still in analog equipment. And we're not going over the video projectors yet. All right, so this is your basic overhead. It's got a lens, a lamp at the bottom. It goes to a Fresnel lens. It shoots up, hits a mirror, and goes and hits the wall. Okay, so there's the lamp. There's your Fresnel. There's your mirror. There's your shoot out to the wall.
Yeah.
We put the stuff on the surface, and we're going to go to a Beseler, which is, this has got a 1,000-watt lamp here. It's got a reflecting lens, right? It's got a lens that magnifies like a magnifying glass. It's got a fan that shoots in down here that keeps everything cool.
Yeah.
And shoots the air back up through here.
Because they get pretty hot.
And then it's got a mirror right here. That mirror reflects up to Fresnel. Then it shoots like a pyramid back up, the same mirror, and then shoots out to your wall. And it has a little adjust so you can kind of move your mirror up here to make it.
Oh, yeah.
Wherever you want to go. All right, so these are the lamps that we use in this old school lamp. It's called a DRS.
Mhm.
And these are 1,000-watt lamps. Okay.
Wow.
And so I'll get to what we do with them, but that's the lamp that, we had to buy. They last about 13 hours.
That's
So
1,000 watts. I mean, your regular house lamp, I mean, now everything's LED, but your common house lamp is what, 60, 100 watts for like,
right.
For a regular house, house light bulb. So we're doing 1,000 here.
Right. So here's the Beseler. This was a workhorse. If you want to buy an old school projector and you get one of these in good shape, like this one in the picture, it's just going to work great for you. Bring it in, you pop this thing on, and it just goes.
It looks like a workhorse. It's like
they're really nice projectors.
Yeah.
And they're dependable, really dependable. And you can just throw a variac on them, and the fan system works well on them and stuff. But you can also just use a standard. Like this is the one I had when I was in high school, 50 years ago.
This is like,
and they run on like this little, 600-watt lamp, but they're bright as can be. And so what we would do is, this is the guts of one of these things. They're a very simple machine.
Yep. Yeah.
And so this is the fan. It sucks the air in and blows it through. This thing just controls the fan, the voltage going into it. So what you want to do, if you want to dim the light out, there's 2 wires that come to the light. And so when you turn the switch on this thing, it just turns everything on. The lamp goes on, the fan goes on, and all runs, right? Pretty simple. So what you do is you break your line, you run 2 wires, cap them up, solder them, run them out here, hook a light dimmer somewhere in here, drill a hole, screw your light dimmer in, and then it's just a break in one line, and it dims the lamp up and down, but the fan still runs. So you're going to make sure your fan still runs.
Yeah, because you have to keep it cool.
You might have to do some trick wiring to do that.
Yeah,
but you have to look at or the other way you can do it, and we did it with those big machines, with like those Beselers and stuff. What we would do is break the light on both lamp lines, hook them back together so the circuit continued to the fan, and then take 2 lines out and hook an actual plug, like a extension cord. Come out like 12-foot cord, and then we'd plug it into a variac right here in that plug. And then this thing you can turn up and down by spinning it, and these go to 220. So you can pump your light up to 160 and get a much brighter light.
Right.
And then you can dim it down. It also it extends the life of your bulb.
Because it extends it.
You're not using it.
Because you're not using it, so you turn it down. Oh,
right.
I thought
so that's
I thought it would like burn it out a bit more because you're kind of over.
Okay, what it does is it burns out. The bulbs only last 9 hours.
Right.
So you want to turn it down in between because you're frying your projector.
If we could stay on this, I'm interested in these because I haven't actually ever seen one of these. Some of the modifications I've done have been sort of like using like a 600-watt house dimmer and just breaking the single line, and kind of using that to kind of regulate the voltage, or some even more cruder methods where I straight up put like, dimmers on the power plug to the projector and then had a fan running externally on it, which I don't recommend. It's better to have something built in. But these machines, I haven't seen these. Is this like something that's still available these days?
Yeah, but they're really expensive. To get these pictures for the slideshow, looking them up, I was like, oh my God, they're like $300 now.
They make them new though, or
you can still
so you still buy this?
This is like off of eBay or some manufacturer. Gotcha. This one probably goes to 120. You want to go to the ones that go higher.
And this is voltage,
or
wattage that it. Because I'm wondering,
it's voltage. Voltage.
So if you have like something like European that runs on 220, could you?
220 will blow. You can't go past 160.
Okay.
With a lamp, it'll just pop.
Right, but I'm saying like let's say you have a European.
There.
What if you have like a European projector or something like that? Can you use this to kind of
when we go to Europe,
change the voltage? Yeah.
They give you a variac, which changes everything.
Gotcha.
You actually run your stuff through one of these because they're converting their stuff to 110 through a variac. So you'll get these buckets when you get to Europe, and you plug your stuff into that.
Oh, okay, cool.
So,
Yeah, and just real quick for folks who aren't familiar, in the United States, we have 100, everything runs at 110, 120. Over there, it's 220.
right.
So yeah,
New Zealand also.
And that causes sometimes.
Okay, so let's start going to the big boys here. Well, the other thing is, one more thing. If you just plug in like one of these funky overheads, you're what, 3M or something, and you plug it in a variac, and it can turn up and down, but you're killing your fan doesn't like to run at half voltage, or you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're meant to.
You have to change. You have to rewire it.
Yeah, you have to split the wiring where you let the fan always run, because those kind of motors, they have to be at a certain
They run speed. At certain wattage. Low wattage, it slows them down, but it burns them out.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go to this Trans-Pec projector.
Oh, that's
okay. So this is an Army surplus Trans-Pec, and we're going to go through a series of these. Okay, so these don't have a Fresnel lens. They have a really unique mirror inside, which you can see right here. They're a laser pointer. See that mirror? That's the edge of the mirror. See how it's a parabolic mirror?
So it's like a curved mirror, actually.
It's curved this way and this way.
Yeah.
So that lamp hits that thing, hits that refractor down there, that lens.
Yeah.
And hits this and shoots up, and it's just clean. There's no plastic and it goes up and refracts back into here. So these things are really bright and really clean looking, but these are even better. Okay, the visual cast. Now, this is what the Brotherhood used at the Fillmore. These are 9-inch convex lenses. There's one here, and then there's one below. It's like that. So it's like two lenses pancaked. And to do the same effect. There's a mirror inside, a flat mirror. There's a lens in the back, just like the Beseler I showed. Goes up to here. And so these were 500 watts. So what they converted them, they bought them at this Army surplus down on Market Street. They converted them 1,000 watts. Well, they had to run extra fans. They had to drill holes in the side, run extra fans. This is what they look like when they're brand new.
Oh, nice.
So they'd take these and put bigger vents in here and run more fans.
So you get cool,
and then they variac that lamp out of there also.
So these are like actual, instead of like a Fresnel that has sort of like the ridges, these are they're made out of plastic. This is a straight up nice piece of glass. It's a nice glass lens. And you said that there's two of them. So then does that eliminate the need for the curved mirror?
Yeah, correct.
In this case, right? Because the other one kind of does the curved one will do the focusing. And
so this pole was like really rickety. These are all metal, by the way. Everything about these are metal.
Yeah.
Like plastic.
Well, they're Army surplus stuff, right?
Yeah. And so they're 1932 visual casts.
This is from 1932.
Yeah, well, the original
ones.
Yeah. I mean, you can see how old they are. Look how old this thing is. I mean,
that's
Okay, so here's a modification for that the setup on the mirror that Bob Pullum here, who's going to be one of our guests, is made for his single projector.
Cool.
It's got this thing. He probably mounts color wheels on this thing right here, and it's pretty awesome, man. They put a piece of plywood, and then they run more fans in, and here's the other two that were given to us by Ed. Pete and I got these, and this is a dual setup.
Yeah. And
okay, the reason these pieces of paper are here. Now, your viewers can guess why the paper's there. We're at Red Rocks, by the way.
Yeah.
Because the sun hits those lenses, there's going to start a fire. Because they're magnifying glasses.
So magnifying glasses.
And we're outside in Colorado in the sun, right? So it's pretty crazy.
The same thing happens in reverse, actually, too. If you take like an overhead projector, like I have over here, if you take something and put it up here, it's the same effect where the light is focused. So I've tried to take I've tried to take gels and instead of putting the gel in front of the light, I've tried to take a gel and put it there. Don't do that, because you'll melt it pretty quick. Because again, it's the opposite, where it starts to kind of focus up there.
So here's those variacs, and you see this big monster variac, that's a 220.
Okay.
And so what I did with this thing was I put it had a metal plate that said, 160, 130, 180. And right where 160 was, I put a screw in it. like a
To
threaded
stop it.
screw and stop it. So I
Stop
couldn't
it.
go past that, otherwise you're going to blow it, man. And you're down doing a show and you look, boom, there goes your lamp.
Were you guys rear projecting here at the Red Rocks?
Yes, we were.
Nice.
Yeah. Long story on that, but I'm going to go now to, there's another slide rack here and there's one there. So we had 6 slide projectors going and 2 overheads. Okay. And here we go. This is the infamous baby.
Yeah.
It's 2 Trans-Paques that have been converted into this box, made into this pipe system that has similar to what Bob Pullum had there, but it has these lenses. They could change lenses on all this, so they could do a long throw, short throw, whatever. And they have legs, and they have foot pedal variacs built in. I mean, these things were like custom. Now, this is owned by that guy, Marcos. What's his name?
Marco Ferrero has them now. Yeah. And I think it's, seeing in another one of our friends' spaces. But this projector also has a bit of a Hollywood history behind it too, right?
Yeah, it was in the Doors movie with John Brand and Charles Suttle, and Pete and I were there hanging out with him in the movie.
And the one with Val Kilmer and Oliver Stone made that one, right?
Right, and it was released in '91.
That's cool. So, not to stop you on this, but like, what's that like, working on a Hollywood set with an overhead projector and trying to do this kind of thing? Like, was it was it a one-day shoot? Did you guys plan this out? Was it?
Well, they did 3 different shoots. They did one, which one was the Jim Morrison when he supposedly exposed himself and Lamb on stage and all that. And they did that in LA, and they had a lot of spiral patterns of black and white liquid and stuff. I wasn't at that one. They did another one, which was the song Not to Touch the Earth, which is that really kind of pagan song. And there was like flames and everything going on. I was at that shoot, and they had a little rear projection screen on the stage. They had flames going up, scene machine flames on the stage. And then this one was at the Warfield. It was a Light My Fire when the Val Kilmer guy swang in on a rope. And so, they do the takes over and over again. And John Brand had all these slide projectors on these computerized. And so they ran the same exact slide loop every time they shot. Almost like a time code. It was pretty close. So if they spliced it, it wouldn't look completely different.
So it was Hollywood magic. So
but what's it really matter, if it's, the light show switches around. But the other thing was the girl, the lady that was the art director, and I met her, and she decided to have 2 blue plates, a blue and red plate, like red oil and blue plate, or vice versa. And the plates were dark. And even though these guys had like 2K lamps in these projectors, that didn't really show up on Hollywood film. I mean, I'm sorry. They were just dark. She picked, I would have used like blue and no color.
Yeah.
Would have
like a yellow or red.
Yellow,
or something.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But she picked these 2 dark colors, or, saturated colors. Anyway, that was that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what it was like. Okay. You want to go to the next one?
Yeah.
Okay. So I mentioned this earlier. This is Pete. The Trans-Pec with our long throw lens, which came with it.
Yeah.
And it was at Carnegie Hall.
Cool.
Jefferson Starship. And we projected right on the walls of Carnegie Hall, 1999. It's pretty
on the walls. So you guys did the sides. So you guys didn't do the screen, but you did the wall, which
no, we did the wall behind the stage. It's like all these white panels.
Yeah.
And these two video projectors with the long throw lenses, I rented them. They just covered, I mirrored them, and they covered the whole wall. And then Pete just did the middle.
Oh, cool. So you're doing a hybrid now. You're doing a hybrid digital projectors, mirrored, to kind of spread it out.
It's just Carnegie Hall, but we're trying to stay away from that. Okay, so we're going to go back to now. So that's the Trans-Pec world.
Right. And
okay.
Well, I was going to say about the Trans-Pec, because one thing that you touched on briefly was that a lot of these kind of projectors, like that Beseler, came from Army surplus stuff, right?
These projectors, which we were getting in the 90s, I think, there's this thing called the Mothball Fleet that used to be in the Bay Area. It was a empty part of the bay way inland, and there was like 300 battleship type ships from World War II that were just parked there, called the Mothball Fleet. And all the stuff that came off that would be auctioned in Stockton. And these junker guys that buy auction stuff, that's who I was getting all these projectors from. We were buying these projectors from
right.
these guys. And so I picture this projector like in a aircraft carrier. It's a long throw, a long thin room with like 50 pilots in it,
Right.
Maybe I'm just guessing, but that's my imagination.
So. We'll get into it in a little bit when we talk about some of the other projectors. The reasons, it's kind of one of the reasons why liquids of the American type are a little bit different than the liquids of the European type. And we'll get into it, but it's basically because we ended up, the United States ended up having a lot of overhead projectors made during the war, which kind of, spurred that industry that, so we had a lot of them here.
Okay, so let's go to these. These are Jerry Abrams, Glenn Mckay projectors. Travel graph. Okay, this one down here, this lower one, is 1,000 watt, and it had two 7-inch convex lenses. So this was an all glass, and you can see Jerry's got them here. He's using them.
Yeah,
they are, and so. These things are great, man. They were just, once again, great optics. And I, like I said, I don't see that many of them around, like that many.
I've never seen one. Yeah.
No, but you can see them. You'll see it later on. And
it looks like it also has like a thing to roll, like you're, if you're going to do, for presentations.
They all had that. We all tore that shit off.
Yeah.
They all had those, the Beselers have them too. Okay. So now we're going to get to the Fillmore East, Joshua. And look at their custom made projectors.
Yeah.
And they also did the same thing. They kept the pole from being in front of them and moved it to the side. And then this girl, I just noticed this, has got this reflector, the lens shooting back at this mirror thing that's probably spinning around or moving slowly. And then it's focused to hit the screen back here.
Yeah.
This one is focused to hit the screen directly from here.
Yeah.
So,
and that really helps to also have just the sides. I think we mentioned in one of the episodes to kind of expand, because, when you have like your glass or something, on a regular overhead, like even here, the arm sometimes gets in the way of the glass or whatever you have. So by getting rid of that and kind of having the pipe system like Bob or then you guys had, really frees up the, your work area there.
So now Josh ended up, so this is the original ones they had. And this is the slide table. Look at that.
Yeah. You can see the slides and you can see Tom Shoesmith up there doing Lumia. And
he's doing Lumia.
And something that I kind of learned recently about these photographs, this isn't on the ground. This is actually up another level. So the bands would actually stage their like drum risers or amps, underneath this. So this is actually not the floor. This is the second level.
Right. In fact, I have the diagram, a drawing of that was recently. It's going to be in the Fillmore West episode.
Oh, cool. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're not on the ground. It looks like they're on the ground, but they're not. They're on a platform.
Yeah, they're on a platform.
And all the gear, all the gear went underneath them. So there'd be like, the Grateful Dead's playing, all their amps are back there and traffic. And then some mountain is playing in front of them. Right. And then they pull out traffics and put, rotate them.
Yeah, I hope we can see the platform in the Fillmore East one. And what's interesting about this is definitely like pre-OSHA. This is like before any type of like regulations. You can never do that these days.
So now in the late 70s, Josh told me that they rebuilt it. Somebody financed it and rebuilt the machine.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a modern version that was used, I guess, somewhere in New York.
Yeah.
And then actually here's it in action. So there's Josh doing, now he uses it. He still has it,
Yeah.
And thing's awesome. Look at that thing.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
What lamps are in there or anything. But
the original ones. Yeah. And I'm sure we'll talk about it, in the other one. The original ones had like aircraft landing lights, and I believe that there was actually a mirror. There were actually two lamps, one from each side. One was like some kind of a xenon lamp, an arc lamp, and the other was kind of like a regular one. And you would flip, it actually have a mirror, so you can flip depending on what light source you want to use.
Wow.
And the xenon and the xenon ones, it would get so hot that it would actually start creating a convection current in the light, in the liquids themselves. So, one of the cool things that Joshua Light Show did that a lot of, I don't really know if any other light show had it, is they have this cool thing where you start dropping the colors in the middle, but the convection pattern sort of starts making it come out. So it looks almost like an exploding star or like a streamer where it's just kind of coming out and it's kind of just goes around. It's intense. I don't know if the new ones have it, but he'll hopefully tell us about it more.
Yeah, right. Hopefully. So anyway, there's two of them. They have the same thing. They're nothing in your way once again.
Yeah.
So you can
keep your hands all free for the work area.
So this is, we talked about film positives and moire patterns and stuff. So this, I just wanted to show the viewers that you put a couple of these things on an overhead and spin them around. It just makes a psychedelic pattern. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, or you can take these and put them on there if you're doing a long throw and you're cropping, or you can put these into slide, make slides out of them. So that's kind of how they did that. Now this one is, now Pete and I are still analog, but we've got metal halide lamps.
Yeah.
We're in Japan and we rented these. Well, one of our projectors burnt up in Japan. So because the fans weren't going because of different current, right? Yeah. There. Like it's different. It's like 60 cycles, different cycles. 60 cycles here, it's like 120 here, it's 60 there or something. So we rented one, and when we were over there the first time, and it was a metal halide, and I saw how bright it was, and I said, so let's just rent two of these, Pete, and we come back. Yeah. So we did. And we had to elevate the plates to get the right focus for the screen, but
I see.
You can see how bright they are with our big plates. They're just unbelievable.
I mean, metal halide really is the way to go if you're going to try to get bright. I mean, your top incandescent lamp of like a standard, overhead projector like this can get like 4,000 lumens. These you start getting into the 7,500 lumen range, and I've seen ones that are rated up to like 12,000 lumens. Like I think there's like I forget what they are, but like Elmo makes some, and I think maybe Apollo might even make one, and some European ones, but they can get pretty bright. And
so now we're going to show the master, Bill Hamm, and what does he have? He's got 3 Elmos. Yeah. They're metal halide.
Yeah,
and this is in his basement. This is where it all started. I mean, more or less. I mean, people claim there's other liquid light shows, but we're going to call it the starting guy right here
of like the San Francisco style and the tradition of rock. There were people who've done light shows before and liquids, but specific to like the type of work that you do with the bands you toured with, or
right.
The tradition that I try to maintain with, it's just the psychedelic rock and roll light show, which really
and the quick story is like I went and met the guy. Like I was now the guy doing light shows with the Allman Brothers, so I kind of had some clout. I was invited over to his house. I went over to his house. We hung out, and he's like, I'm like, this guy's amazing. And then it's like, well, I quit after 2 years, and I just, your companies, I had no interest in the Brotherhood and Holy See, and all these guys took it over, and Ben Van Meter and I just split, and we just got regular jobs. And I was like, it shocked me because I was like, wait, I thought, you were the god of light shows, but then they call it the second generation, but I call the Reed and all those people that were trained by Jerry the second generation. So it's really the third generation.
But Bill did continue to do light shows, and maybe we can get him on the show, because I got to talk to him a couple of weeks ago, and even though he didn't quite do like rock and roll light shows, he did continuously throughout his career do light shows, and told me even a story when because he has relatives who are Japanese, and actually talked to people at Elmo to try and get them to sponsor him or something like that. He'll be better at telling the story like that. But he has continued to actually do light shows all these years.
Did some stuff for Metallica, believe it or not.
That was Joshua did one for Metallica recently.
Oh no, that's recently, but he did the earlier one when they had the orchestra play in Berkeley Community Theater.
Oh wow.
So because they wanted the original guy, but anyway.
Yeah.
So let's just go to some some guys like some local or whatever light show people that are still having fun doing it,
Yeah.
And this is really the classic 3 colors that we all use and mix, and people are doing a light show, and they got the plates and stuff, and they're having
having fun, and that's what it's all about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell by the buttons on the right that those are 3M projectors. They kind of got like a distinctive red button, but they're not the brightest projectors, but they're fun for anybody who wants to just get into this, and you can get them low cost. And man, you'll be surprised as to what you can do with a simple overhead projector.
Well, and then you can film the liquids too, and then if you want to go big time. So let's take a look back at an old school light show. And obviously converted theater of some sort. We have no idea where this is, but they got like 4 overheads. They're using Beselers.
Yeah.
The old workhorse. They got Kodak Ectographic 2s, color wheels, and it looks awesome. Look at those walls, man. They're just nailing it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's with all those faces, it's really cool. I wish we knew if somebody knows where the show is, please comment in the comments and let us know. Who the light show was, what the band was, and where the venue is.
So to make it really bright, what we had to do back then was have a bunch of projectors hitting the walls and over each other. And it just wasn't one projector. It was like 10,
right.
To get this effect. Here's another example.
Yeah.
You got 2 liquids and 2 slides and maybe another overhead around here. I don't know, but
yeah, I think this might be Android Light Show from France, who will also hope to get on the show here, but we'll double check with them. And of course, again, if anybody notices any inaccuracies, feel free to comment. Join in the conversation. And let's all learn.
So here's the slide projectors of choice of the old analog days.
Yeah.
And these things were great. They were just kicked ass, long lenses on them. And now, why don't you talk about these heat slides? Because I've never done one.
Yeah. So heat slides are, basically what you do is you take a projector like this. It has to be a metal projector. Do not try doing it with a plastic projector like a Kodak. And basically, they have a piece of glass in front of the. It's called the image plane. That's where your like slide goes. So you take a piece of glass that acts as a heat filter and you remove it. And effectively, now you have that heat from that lamp hitting the image plane directly. So you can put a piece of film there and it'll burn up and look really cool. Or you can take different oils and liquids and put them between pieces of glass and now slide one of those in there. And that, as the heat starts hitting it, really starts like kind of creating these like little explosions. Like it heats up and sort of boils the liquids. And it's a really, it's a really nice contrast to the American style of the squash plate, which is sort of like, kind of does this like amoeba like thing, right? Where it's sort of like, spreads out and it's kind of doing its thing. So how long does it
last? I mean, how long does that effect last?
It's hard to say. I mean, eventually the stuff kind of boils and spills out. You can also grab a heater. You can also kind of, if you grab yourself like a hair dryer, you can also kind of control it a little bit better by hitting the, kind of like aiming it into different spots. But, but this is what I was going to say was the difference between the European and the American style is we really had a lot of overhead projectors because of, Army surplus stuff in the war. And then we started using them in schools. So they became like a mainstay for, a teaching tool and stuff like that. But in Europe, they weren't as common, but the slide projector was common. And the slide projector is effectively a high-tech version of the magic lantern, which was like the first, projectors going back to 16 and 1700s.
Okay, I'm going to move on because we're trying to keep this show down.
All right.
Amount of time, but
I was just going to say a couple of names real quick would be like Mark Boyle, who did liquids for the Pink Floyd or like the Soft Machine. That would be an artist to look up if you want to look up heat slides.
Okay, so here we go to Jerry Abrams. I mentioned these slides earlier, last couple shows ago. Scratch slides, actually the first show. Yeah. So this was right from most of these bands played at Monterey. These are the Monterey. This is Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah.
If
you've seen that movie, you'll recognize these. Yeah.
Yeah. The Who. There's the Who one. There's Otis Redding. Obviously, he played Canned Heat. I don't know if they played there, but I think they did. Electric Flag played there. So yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah. And so who has these right now? Weren't these
Donovan's got them.
Donovan has these. Yeah.
He inherited all that stuff from.
These are very cool.
And Jerry's He brought that stuff to a show one time, and it all smelled like mold because it was in a, kept in a van and got moldy. But nobody can afford to store the stuff. All right, so this is our workhorse of the 70s, and it was the Ectographic 2. Okay,
yeah.
And now I'm going to show Jay Moss, who's hopefully going to be one of our guests.
Yeah.
He's got this bank of them, and look at that, man.
Over there on the left side.
Yeah, it's totally awesome. I mean, how many he got in the picture? 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got like 8 of them.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes to run his light show. And then I think this is Charles Suttle, and these are those travel graphs.
Those are travel graphs. Those 1,000 waters. Yeah.
So they had some. This is in New York.
And this is Pablo Light Show, right?
Right. Yeah. Pablo. So now we're going to go to Joshua's light show.
Yeah.
And this guy's got you have a little station, you get a couple projectors, maybe 3 slide projectors overhead, and you just run your own mini show, with color wheels, and you got speed control right here.
Yeah.
And
right here where his left hand
out,
is.
And you're grabbing slides off the wall. They got carousels. So that's, this is kind of a light show guy at work,
Mm-hmm.
And you can see he's got the stands that hold the color wheel, like we all.
Oh, he has some lab stands, which are.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. And now here we go to the workhorse that we used in the 90s was the Ectographic 3, which was a lot brighter than the 2.
Yeah, which I got one back there.
Yeah, you got one right on the wall up there,
yeah.
And the wall of projectors. And then this is those great ones again, and there's 3, and they look like they're all hitting one
the
area
same color wheel.
Yeah. And so they're probably all focused on one place. They're in, and look at all the variacs.
And you can see the variacs back there.
And there's a guy standing there actually. So you can see, and he's got his slides back here.
Yeah.
So this is just a guy. He's got a slide station, and he's got the rheostat right here.
Yeah.
Color wheel. He's got an overhead here. I mean,
the rheostat controls the speed of the color wheel.
Right. Yeah. So that's just kind of a close up of what's going on.
Yeah, that's cool.
This is really cool. These are like the 9200s that are out now that you could buy in, who knows, the 2000s, but I bet you they're really bright.
I've never actually seen one of these. Yeah, this is pretty.
What I would do, I would have on my color wheel hit all 4 of these.
Right.
And I would have like 3 panels. So this would be red, that would be blue, that would be green, this would be yellow, and then as they rotate, you get the different colors going, changing in the picture, opposed to color wheels like this one where it's like a lot. Well, he's a bunch of different gradients.
Well, the one in the center,
is anyway. So, this was a big color wheel.
Yeah.
Too. Okay. Now we're going to go to the John Brand, who's going to definitely be on our show, the 80s version of light shows. Mm-hmm. And this was the, I think it was 1982 or something, 81. The Moscone Setter Mountain of Equipment.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
The Grateful Dead.
This is probably one of the biggest light show, as far as equipment goes. I mean, this is, as far as I've seen, as far as photos goes, this is deep. There's so much stuff. I mean, the amount of slide projectors alone is just crazy here. And this was, you said this was like the Veterans War Memorial or the Moscone Center, you said, or what was the?
Moscone Center, which was just like, it's a convention center. It's like a downstairs. And I've got other pictures that are going to be, you'll see the whole setup.
Yeah.
For John's show. Hopefully he's going to bring pictures for us to look at or me to.
And that was like and that show was like a collaboration between Pablo on the East Coast and San Francisco Lightworks on the West Coast, right?
Well, Pablo was out here and they were all working for Bill Graham.
Oh, they were out here.
And they were working for John. They were working for John Brand. He had a presentation service called John Brand Presentation Service.
Right. Yeah.
And so they had regular jobs doing slideshows for corporations and, Apple Computer or Mac Truck or whatever. But, and that's why they had all these Ectos. See these, the Ecto 3?
That's one of the things.
These Ecto 2s here with these metal racks? I bought all these from him and used them for the Allman Brothers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, and then here's a Beseler. A Beseler, so hey, the workhorse, there it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, now here's a shot of the actual show.
Yeah.
Okay, and we are basically running about the same time as our last liquid show.
Right. Yeah. We're trying to get these within about 45 minutes, 50 minutes or something
we're
like
a
that.
little over right now, but
It's all
anyway.
right.
Anyway, there you go. Should we go back to the two of us? Can you do that for me?
Yeah. Let's go and. But anyway,
yeah,
so
it's all good.
yeah.
So you want to recap what we're going to do in the future here?
Yeah, well, I guess we're just trying to get like some other, some other guests on. Like now we've kind of covered, venues, album covers, liquids. We've covered overhead projectors, and went through like the nitty gritty of some of the gear, and especially what you showed us here was really cool. Was these were like vintage projectors. A lot of stuff that's not as common anymore. Now we like the Duquesne. It's like one of the best projectors now.
Back there. Well, okay, the next show is definitely going to be Josh, Fillmore East. I don't know if Josh is going to come on. We can do a show without Josh, but I think he's going to come and hang with us because
comment and tag Josh, tell him to come on the show and join us.
Right. I think he will. I mean, he called, we talked on the internet today and he was like, yeah, man, you guys are doing great. So it's good to have the grandpa, the father of it all. Kind of giving us the heads up, so that's great. We respect him tremendously. I did a show with him last year. It was awesome. He sat in with me, so it was really
the Beacon,
cool.
Right?
Yeah, it was great. I got a couple slides of that. So when we do that Fillmore East show, and we're going to show there's diagrams that have been showing up on the Facebook sites, which are really cool, of the Fillmore East. And then we're going to have 3 or 4 guests come on and do a storytelling about old school light shows. That's going to happen.
He said, and some of them, and just real quick, I want to say Keith Mueller is the one who's been doing the Fillmore diagrams, and he's been putting a lot of time into it. I wanted to give him some credit and give him a shout out. For those watching at home, we're 5,000 miles apart. I'm in New York, Chris is in Hawaii. So we got a crazy time difference. It's getting late here. Chris is still waking up. But
sort of. At any rate, so Bob's going to be here, and he's got some. We're going to do some celebrity stories. Little stuff like that these guys have been talking about. So that's really cool. And then also John Brand is going to do his 80s show.
Oh, all right, cool. Yeah. And I think the 80s is a good topic to cover because, a lot is known about light shows from the 60s, a little bit about the early 70s, but the 80s were like this, like almost dark ages of light shows. Like we know they went on and they were still around, but it wasn't,
and then my triumphant show was getting the Jefferson Airplane at the Fillmore Auditorium, the original Fillmore, doing 3 shows with them. And Bill was still alive and Bill was there.
Oh, cool.
So that was really cool. And that was Ed's last show.
Oh, all right.
He came out and did, what is it? White Rabbit.
Oh, nice.
For White Rabbit. It was cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Anyway, so hey, man.
And I think too, we can also maybe get Light Show Robert from France. It'd be nice to get some of the European folks on too, and maybe get a, perspective of, because light shows didn't, like, even though like San Francisco was sort of like the mecca of light shows, light shows like around the world kind of started springing up. Like as soon as you kind of have the ability to control light, it's not like it started in one place. Like everybody's get the same idea. Like it's a natural thing. Like how many times does a kid find like a mirror and sees it reflects something and play with it? Like I think almost every child has done that. It's like it's an intuitive thing for a human to start playing with light.
Well, or at least like Josh and you and me did that.
Where we did that. I like to think I like to think it's normal, but anyway, the tools.
I know we all have these stories about us, discovering the light and all that. And so there's going to be a lot more shows and, a lot more guests and hopefully
we'll keep rolling. It'd be great. Man.
Okay, man.
All right, man. So so good show. Good talking to you, Chris. And looking forward to talking with you next week again.
Okay, let's sign off and everybody come and visit us on YouTube.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Peace.